Oh, I'm sorry.
The next item on the agenda is number 7. Can I get approval to September 2? Excuse me, I got 7. 2025 payroll in the amount of $1,191,999.28. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Chapman.
Second.
Second by Mr. Henderson. Any discussion? Roll call.
Chapman, aye. Henderson,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
Bradley,
Aye.
Bowman,
Aye.
Smith.
All right, the next item up. That's it. The next item to approve September 2025 payroll in the amount of $961,499.28. Is there a motion?
Move.
Moved by
McGee,
McGee. Who's second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Henderson. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Henderson,
Yes.
Chapman, aye. Bowman,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Bradley.
Aye.
Next item, any board committee report.
Yes, personnel report. I would like to lift up a couple of items regarding our GEC candidates. As you know, these names are on the list on pages 2, 3, 4, and 5, but I'm going to lift up those items that are on page number 5. We've offered a total of 8 candidates, teaching positions, 5 for Rosa Parks and 3 for King. Once again, this is for the GED personnel. GEC, I'm sorry. 2 teachers have already arrived and are waiting for a temporary Social Security number through ISBE to apply for their PAL license. 2 more teachers will be arriving on Thursday, October the 23rd, 2025. 1 teacher's J1 visa was approved on October the 15th and is preparing for her trip to America. The final 3 have been issued their DS 2019 papers and are eligible to apply for their their J1 visa. So that's an update on our GEC personnel.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other committee report? Superintendent?
Yes, we've got 2 reports under mine, and the first one will be the CIA report by Ms. Louisa Shannon.
All righty. You better put it in your phone like I do.
No, I know it by heart.
Moving too fast.
There you go.
All right now.
Hold on, let me see.
I should need to. I can get that part. Just
Click with
click
the
slides. There, click the
Over
slides. Oh, okay, slides. Okay. All right. Thank you for your patience. All right. So I'm Louisa Shannon. You ratified me at the last meeting as the Assistant Director of Curriculum. We rebranded slightly to include instruction and assessment to better represent all that we do. And so with me this evening are also our literacy coach, Alexis Trevino, and our math coach, Misty Quahog. And they helped prepare the presentation, so you might hear directly from them for a couple of slides. The clicker, sorry. I don't use clickers very often. So by the end of this presentation, we should be able to describe our students' academic data, identify the next steps for our actions as a department, as a district, to improve teaching and learning, and identify our next steps for monitoring progress. So where are we now? We're going to talk about our student academic data and our classroom observation data. So here's from spring 2025 IAR ELA. Ms. Kuhar, did you want to speak to these slides?
So we have, so ISB redefined their categories. We used to have 5, now we're at 4. We have above proficient, it's a little wrong, but above proficiency, approaching proficiency, and below proficiency. So this past spring, in spring of 2025, we had a total of 8 third graders that scored above and 19 that's met proficiency, for a total of 34%, because 10 plus 24% is 34. 4th grade, we had a total of 11 students who were proficient or above. 5th grade, we had 16. 6th grade, we had 16 as well. 7th grade, we had 18. And 8th grade, we had 11. And so over here, this is what the score is the score on IAR to meet proficiency. So a 3rd grader has to score 735 or above to meet proficiency. Our students, our 79 3rd graders who took it, averaged a 718. So we're roughly 20 points. Our students are roughly 20 points as a whole away from meeting proficiency in reading in ELA. Does that make sense? Any questions? I'm going to give you a quick overview because we've been here for a while, right? So average growth, of course, 3rd graders take it for the first time, so we can't calculate that. Our 4th graders average 36 points in growth, 5th grade 37, 6th grade 34, and so on. The average growth for our students on IAR ELA was of 40.2 points. Okay, so we're making some progress. Oops, wrong direction. Math. A little bit different. So the score for proficiency for 3rd grade is a 732. Our kids averaged a 709. 3rd grade, we had a total of 13 kids that were at proficient or above. 4th grade, we had 1. 5th grade, none. 6th grade, 4. 7th grade, 6. And 8th grade, we had 3. And again, the average growth was 32 points for our 4th graders, 40 points for our 5th graders, for a total average growth of 39.6 points. So while our math is in a much more critical state than our ELA is, last year we definitely poured a lot more time and resources into ELA. Our students are making gains at about the same pace as ELA. So that's good news for us. We have made some adjustments this year to further support math, because this is definitely our weakness. But again, like last year, I worked with the 3rd grade teacher, and that's where we saw the greatest growth in our scores. So we're showing that working with our students, our teachers, is paying off. Next is not me.
So we wanted to just make sure that we all are clear on how we're comparing to the states. And so the state's proficiency scores keep changing. So IAR, the ISB released new IAR cut scores. So that means we're constantly having to readjust what our cut scores are, constantly having to update our systems. So our students are chasing a moving target. It's like if they were running a race and the end point kept moving, right? But on the other hand, our district's overall growth percentages are matching or are higher than the state in reading and mathematics, which means our students are growing as fast, if not faster, than their colleagues in the state. the thing is we started from farther back. So we have farther to go to actually meet where they are, but we are moving faster than many of our colleagues. So over time, if we continue to make the gains we're making, our children will be positioned to catch up. And that's what we want to continue to do, build on this momentum and accelerate. So, I did the same mistake, sorry. Okay, so this is our STAR early literacy data. STAR is the system that we use as a diagnostic at the beginning of the year. So the previous data was from the spring, this is data from this fall. It's not as long or as intense or as in-depth as IR, but it's a snapshot of where our students currently are performing. Did you want to say anything?
I can speak on
Okay.
this. So, yes, and STAR is adaptive, whereas IAR tells us whether the students can perform grade level work. So are the students working at 3rd grade, 4th grade, so on. STAR will tell us what grade level they're working at. So there's STAR early literacy and there's STAR reading. They're 2 different tests. Early literacy is geared towards those beginning reading, letter sounds and names and so on and so forth. So of our 1st graders who took early literacy, we had a total of 68 of 77 1st graders who took it. 10 of them are at benchmark, 16 are on watch, 16 are in the intervention level, and 26 are urgent. These are based on percentile rankings. I don't have the right rankings here, but our urgent intervention is the 25th percentile and below, which meaning our students in this category, depending on what their score was, scored better than 25% of the students who took it in 1st grade at the beginning of the year. In 2nd grade, we currently have 40 of our 2nd graders out of 72 who are working in early literacy. In 3rd grade, we have 6 out of 71. Oops, I pushed the wrong button. Before I go on, so as of right now, 17.5 of our 1st through 8th grade students are taking early literacy. To note, the 50th percentile, so like grade level, our students should be out of early literacy at the end of 1st grade. Because the end of 1st grade 50th percentile score is an 851. You have to score an 852 or higher to go into reading. STAR reading, so we currently have 2 1st graders that are above and at benchmark, which is a good start. 2nd grade, we have 5 that are at benchmark and 18 that are on the watch, on the cusp of that. So we should be able to promote those students when they take it in December. We're looking for them to be at benchmark. So 27 of our 72 2nd graders are currently taking the reading test. And then you can see, so 3rd grade, we have 10 students at benchmark. 4th grade, we have 14 at or above benchmark. 5th grade 13, 6th grade 8, and then it continues down. So we definitely have a lot of students in these 2 categories, intervention and urgent, which is a concern, and that's where we're targeting the skills that they need to bring them out of there. Questions? Wrong button again. And then math. It's the same setup here. So overall, we have 4 students currently that are above benchmark in math. We have 46 that are at benchmark. So we're currently at 50 students collectively that are at or above already their benchmark for their year. So that's a good, strong start for us, at least, in math, because these are students that we are projecting to meet benchmark and proficiency on IAR. Does that make sense? So again, we have a lot of work. I don't think that this is okay. I'm very bothered by this 265 students in the urgent category, but we're making progress. And then these are our Spanish students. So this is the test is given in Spanish in early literacy too, and we currently have 4 of our 1st graders and 3 of our 2nd graders at benchmark. For reading, we have a total of 26 of our Spanish-speaking students are at or above benchmark. And then for math, we have 17 of them who are at or above benchmark. Questions?
Will the board get a copy of this so we can sit down and really decipher it?
Yeah, definitely. And if you guys, like, you know, if we want to set up an additional meeting or presentation or something, I can definitely dig into all this data further with you.
Okay, so one more question. How many times will we get this before the year's out and then in the spring?
We'll talk about that in the presentation.
All right. Okay, so
Thank you. So in addition to the student and academic data, we also have been working with our instructional leaders to directly observe teaching practice. And so what you're seeing is a collection of data from K through 4. The only reason you don't see Parks represented is Parks is gathering their data tomorrow. But what we're seeing so far in these first columns is showing that our teachers are using state standards to teach. They're using it to plan the learning targets that they share with students, and they're using it to select learning tasks. The areas for growth where you see more of the red are because these are around student work. So that's an area of growth for us as a district, making sure that we're planning activities where students have to work together to complete it, and also using systems to monitor student progress, and finally making sure that the cognitive rigor of our task matches the standards. So we want to hit that just right spot. We don't want it to be too easy, we don't want to take away the rigor, but we also don't want it to be too hard and not obtainable for our students. So what are we doing? So our goals this year are to build on the momentum we're already seeing in IAR and to accelerate that growth. So we have already established 3 instructional goals, and so Ms. Trevino, would you like to speak to these?
So we are very excited for our district goals this year. Everyone is very well versed in them, and it's exciting to walk around and hear teachers talking about how they're using active engagement, explicit instruction, and vocabulary in their classrooms. They've been very excited to showcase what they're doing this year. So active engagement is our first goal, with basically just we want the students involved in the learning. We want them engaged, we want them participating in every lesson and every day, all day. Because what we think about is what we learn. So if they're thinking about what you're teaching them, they're more likely to learn it and remember it. Explicit instruction is really just the teacher very explicitly teaching what they want the students to know. So no guessing, no trying to figure out what is it I'm learning today. It's very explicit, it's very systematic and direct for our students. And finally is vocabulary. So we've introduced this, but this is going to be more of a focus in January and moving forward. What is this? We all struggle with it. So during Summer Institute, we had those 8 days that were very targeted around both active engagement and explicit instruction. So we had 4 separate presentations that really targeted those areas. After that, we have ongoing professional development looking at those goals. So this looks like during the SIP day, we reviewed what we had done during summer. We have grade level meetings. Principals are putting it on their weekly letters that are going out, so they're hearing it consistently over and over again. Teachers are understanding this is what we want to see when we walk into classrooms. Furthermore, it's in that feedback, right? So during observations, teachers are giving feedback on those very specific goals, so we're all on the same sheet of music, right? And then finally, which is a very exciting piece this year, we are working on a video library that's showcasing these strategies. So far, I believe we have 6 teachers that have showcased what it looks like to have this active engagement and explicit instruction, with more teachers excited to volunteer and showcase, hey, here's what I'm doing, come watch me. And so it's gotten a very positive response. One of our teachers got a standing ovation from her peers over at Parks after she showcased it. So we're trying to build that learning community and that culture of high expectations for our teachers.
In addition to the work that our coaches are doing directly with teachers, we're also building our structural leadership capacity. So we have a PLC that meets with all the building leaders and our coaches and the director of EL on a regular basis to discuss data, to standardize our practices, our systems, our tools, and to plan how to allocate resources. In addition to those weekly meetings together, we also have consultation and coaching that we provide to our building leaders so that they can ask us questions. We engage in coaching cycles as well with building leaders who are interested, and we continue to do research and share research resources and recommendations with them. We told them at the beginning of the year, we're like your research and development team. We do some of the back work to make sure you are equipped to share best practices with your staff. The last piece that we're doing is we're making sure that we're developing a data-informed culture. That means that we are using data to make the decisions we are regarding teaching, learning, curriculum. Everything that we do should be informed by data. That can be qualitative data, that means things that we observe, and quantitative data. What are the numbers telling us? So we're engaging administrators in collecting that data and analyzing it. We're supporting teachers in analyzing and using that data in a variety of different data tools and systems. And finally, we're empowering the students. We're very excited about that this year. Ms. Kuhart is leading the charge on that and preparing teachers to engage students in conversations about their own data so they can make informed decisions about their learning. So when is the next time you should expect to hear from us? I'm so glad that you anticipated our question. So we would like to come back and speak with you in January. At that point, we expect to have more rigor walk data. That's where we go into the classrooms and observe classroom and teaching and learning across the building to see is the professional learning that we're doing being implemented in classrooms. We know most importantly is the student academic data. Are our students learning? And are they growing at the pace we anticipated? And finally, we're engaging in intense coaching cycles with some of our teachers to see are we developing their teacher and leadership skills.
Thank you.
So thank you for your attention. And what questions do you have for us?
So the only thing that I want is tonight's information, so when January comes, I can compare.
Compare and contrast.
I did a webinar with the Illinois Association of School Board Members just last week, and it was entitled New Standards for Student Proficiency, and it was a webinar. I will send you that video so that you can see where the benchmarks have not really changed. They just are totaled a little different. Either from, not from the, using the percentile to show that how the growth really does come through. So I'll send that to you tomorrow.
Dr. Scott shared it with me.
Oh, okay, because I sent it to him
Yes,
already.
as soon as you forwarded it to him, he forwarded it to us. So
Okay,
we
good,
have it,
good.
and then Ms. Kuhart was also involved in reviewing some of that data. We
So
worked
the
together
benchmarks
to
haven't
align our
quite
budget.
changed, but what they're doing, they're calculating them a little different.
Yes.
And if we get that calculation, we'll get a more precise, view of what we're actually doing.
Absolutely. So what we did internally as a district is we worked to align our STAR system cut scores with the IAR scores, so they're better predictors of what our students will be able to do and how they're performing this spring.
The 3 questions that they left at the end of it, I just shared it with Dr. Scott. I still have it on my phone as well. That these are the questions, the quantitative questions that you can ask and see that we are hitting the right percentiles and doing it the right way. So if you guys listen to that, look at that.
Absolutely.
You guys, it'll open your mind, because I'm like, wow, is this what's happening?
Thank you for sharing that resource.
You're very
I look forward to
welcome.
it.
I do those webinars, I sit at home in that chair again.
Any other questions for us? Because I know Ms. Owens also has some.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Owens, did you read?
Next up, we have our CSBO, Janisa Owens, with Bob Lewis, who's the Senior Vice President and Managing Director of PTMA Securities.
I'll try to go fast.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent, and all the administrators and our 147 family. I am going to present the finances, as well as Bob Lewis will come forward and he will discuss the opportunities that we spoke of regarding all of our capital project needs that we talked about last board meeting. And so we wanted to make sure that a representative was here to give some greater details and go a little bit more in depth about our options. And so I'll log into the screen, and during this time, I'll have Bob Lewis go ahead and begin to speak with you regarding those options.
Well, thank you for having me here tonight, and I'll wait for her to pull that up. maybe before I go into the presentation, just give you a little bit about the company I work for. PTMA, probably used to be familiar with us as PMA, but we merged with another company last year. It was called PTA, and our marketing people came up with creativity of just put it together. PTMA, pretty easy. And our firm has had the pleasure of working with the district on its prior bond issues when you've issued for various projects. And the timing is very good to talk about if this is an opportunity for you to reissue that debt for some other capital projects that were talked about at the prior meeting.
got the clicker in your hand? Is it up or down? Down, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like I kind of messed up the formatting there.
Okay.
Okay, well anyhow, I'll go ahead, you guys have it printed in front of you, so. So what we're talking about specifically tonight are general obligation bonds, and the term general obligation just means it's paid from a separate property tax levy. So this is the time of year where you're setting your levy for the operations side. Separate from the operations, there's a pot of money that's levied and collected to pay the debt service on your bonds. We call those general obligation bonds. Under school code, they're authorized via referendum, typically for very large projects. And then there's the ability to do them on a non-referendum basis, which is what we're talking about today. You currently do not have any referendum-approved bonds. The only bond issue you have outstanding is the one that was originally done on a non-referendum basis. So there we go on the next slide. Before we talk about your specifics, we do need to talk about how the tax cap law impacts your ability to borrow. And tax caps first applied to Cook County back in 1994 and all the underlying units of government. And in 1994, it looked at what was your payment that you had that you're due on your non-referendum bonds. Whatever that payment was, which was somewhere around $600,000 or $700,000 at that time, is called your debt service extension base. And that limits your annual levy, puts a cap on how much you can do for your bonds. Well, that was tied to CPI, and so now that limit has increased to $1,163,000. Before you can issue any bond payable from within that constraint, though, you do have to conduct a bond hearing, which is like the budget hearing that you'll recently did, and you have to do a 30-day petition period where the board passes a notice of intent resolution that gets published in a local paper, and 10% or more of the registered voters sign that petition, then it would have to go to referendum. It's very, very seldom that that ever happens. I've been doing this 29 years, it's only happened twice in my career to people I've worked with. So that red line there represents that DSEB I was just talking about, the debt service extension base. So while your limit is 1.163 million, you're not at that limit. So you do have plenty of borrowing capacity. And that first blue column there, shaded blue-white column, is your bond payment that you levy for levy year 23 for taxes collected in 2024. And that amount was a peak year. Then it declined for levy year 24 for taxes collected this year whenever we get the bills, right?
Right.
And
I just talked about that.
and so that decline from last year to this year for your median home, according to the American Community Surveys, just a touch under $100,000. That payment decline, your bond payment, translates to about a $114 reduction in the tax bill, just on the debt portion. Doesn't mean a whole bunch of other things that change the tax bill, but at least your debt, your contribution to the bill in terms of your debt went down whenever the bills come out this year. So what we're going to present in the rest of the presentation tonight is that shorter blue bar is, well, what if you were to reissue debt to keep it at that amount? and what could you generate to pay for some of these projects without having to raise taxes? So you can go ahead and transition to the next slide. Oh, one more, sorry. So we did a couple different scenarios after talking with the administration. The first illustration is if you were to borrow and target $1.7 million, and I'll let Ms. Owens talk about the projects here in a moment after I do the presentation that would fall in those buckets. You would have to extend that payment for about 5 years. And then you would net $1.7 million for capital projects. This has to go to the capital projects. You can't spend it on salaries, for example. Then we did another illustration for a little bit bigger amount, $3 million. And so you borrow more money, it's going to take more years to pay it off, but you're still paying off in a relatively short period of time for a school bond. Most of my clients are doing 15 to 20, in some cases 25-year bonds. This one would be going out about 10 years to net $3 million for projects that you may need to finance. So the next slide here gives you a summary comparison of them. We're to the $1.7 million borrowing would have an average interest rate right around 4%. You pay back just a little bit under $2 million. So pretty good bang for your buck. You're not paying back much in interest for the money that you're getting. That's because you're paying it back so short. And the next one, because it's going out about 5 more years, you get net $3 million, interest rate be just above 4%. We're estimating the current market. And then your payback would be $3.8 million. A little bit more, but still not as much. You ever look at your mortgage statement, you pay back a lot more in interest over that 30 years than you borrowed originally. So this is a pretty good ratio then of what you borrowed to what you pay back. And the good news is whether you did either one of these scenarios, you free up that debt, you go into zero again, and then you'd have the opportunity to reissue, or if there's no need to just go to zero at some point. So the last slide I have here is a key timeline of events should you want to issue the bonds. Because one thing about that graph, to continue that payment on, you have to file with the county a resolution letting them know that you issue new debt no later than the end of February of next year. So here we are in October, so you have some time, but not a lot of time to get something done by that time period. So here's the key timeline of events. Now I built in a little bit of flexibility because you notice the last thing is to close the bonds. That's when you get the money. That's February 18th. So there's and actually the key date on notifying the county is when you would sell the bonds. Because as soon as you sell the bonds, the next day we know what the terms would be, you can file that with the county. So this schedule has a sale on January 20th. So there's an extra month built into here of flexibility to make sure it's done by February 28th. So the first step we have here is the board would adopt a notice of intent resolution. That's the document that's published in the paper. It sets that not to exceed amount. You can always come down, you can't go up. So I usually advise my clients that if you're kind of going between some scenarios, not quite sure, and maybe don't have the full budget yet, maybe bump that up a little bit so that you can always come down later. So if you're thinking about $3 million, maybe put it at $3.5 million. Doesn't mean you sell $3.5 million, it just means that you could sell up to that if something came back in the budget that was a little higher. And then the president also signs an order calling for the bond hearing. That gets published at the same time. It's 2 different steps, although you do them typically the same night. Both of those documents get published in the paper. We're estimating November 5th. It might be a day or 2 away from that. And then you'd hold the hearing at the December 1st meeting. That has to be held no earlier than 7 days after it's published and no later than 30 days after it's published. So that falls within those parameters. And then that 30-day petition period we have ending on December 8th. That's assuming November 5th is publication. And you do the math like, hey, that's more than 30 days. Well, it's because it falls on a weekend. So you have to go to the next business day. So it can be a little bit more than 30 when that happens. And then the next step would be to have the board approve a resolution authorizing the sale. So that's the night by then you really didn't know, okay, we did that this much, but we only want to borrow it this much. So by that January date is when you need to know if we follow this timeline, if you decide to even proceed. And then the bonds would be sold on January 20th and then closed on February 18th. Now, while all this is happening, these are really the high-level steps that the board and the administration would be doing at these meetings. Behind the scenes, we're working with the administration, put together marketing documents for the bonds, helping you select an underwriter who will buy the bonds and find the investors, getting a credit rating renewed, and perhaps credit enhancement to try to get a higher rating. So there's a lot of work that has to be done for these steps to occur in order to get the money in the bank on February 18th, if you decide to proceed. So that's the presentation. Any questions for me?
Didn't we just retire a bond?
So, yes, this is our last payment. December will be the last payment. If we allow that payment to completely fall off, in order to get any new money, we would have to raise taxes. So in order to prevent raising taxes, the goal is to now position this to the board for us to move forward so that we're maintaining what we're already receiving.
Gotcha.
So taxpayers won't get a hit. But if we allow this to fall off and do not proceed and decide within the next few months, yes, we definitely need to borrow, we're gonna have to raise taxes. Because it would have fallen off and then we'd be in a new levy year where we have to.
Good point.
But you're right, one bond did fall off, that's why that bar went from that height down. It's because one bond was
So our debt
retired.
service went down.
Right.
And, right, and so if our debt service went down, and we have, new scenario, help me out here because I am not the financial guru. So, if we did not, if we let that bond fall off on December 2025, and we just stockpile that same money, say like I was at my house, and I had a bill that was $500, and the last payment was December of 2025. January 2026, I put that $500 in the bank. February, and on and on and on. Could I also, it would take me a minute, but.
No, because the ability to extend
Okay,
those
that's why I need you to
taxes
tell me.
go away when the bonds mature.
Right.
Okay.
And like, most of us think, if I can use the analogy, this is what I think you were saying is, if I've been paying on a car, and now I've paid off my car, that car payment that I had, I can use for whatever I want, my household budget.
I want to save it, I don't want to
Yeah,
use it.
I could go back to, I don't have to go back to my employer and say, hey, I paid off my car, now can I use it for something else? Well, your employer's kind of like the taxpayers.
Right.
It's different there. You pay off your debt, that levy goes away.
I
So
understand.
the only way you can get that levy back is to issue a new bond.
Yeah,
Right.
Got it.
But if I don't want to issue a new bond, I'm just saying, I need you to help me and educate me. And instead of spending that $500, since I now have $500 extra from that car payment, and I just banked that $500.
But that $400,000, that dark blue thing,
Okay.
you can't collect that next year. It goes away.
It goes
It's like in your example, that $500 goes away. It's like your
Okay,
employer took that
that's what I
away.
need.
Yeah.
I need you to help me out there.
Yeah.
Once it falls off, that's what it's gone.
Okay,
So that
okay.
we're no longer receiving it.
Okay, I know it was an elementary question, but
Okay, no, that's a good
I
question.
am an elementary
And
student.
that's where lots of people get, like whenever we're going to talk about whether there's a referendum or something, you're talking to the community and they're like, hey, your old bonds are paying off, and they're coming to you for asking permission to keep that going. And that's one of the biggest confusions all the time is like, why are you asking me again? Why don't you just shift it? Well, because you can't. The bonds go away, that levy goes away.
Yeah, I remember us going through this on other occasions. I think we're in a really good position right now to just do the bond and not go out into the community and ask them to raise their taxes. This would be a bad time.
Correct.
But to do this, I can see how we can raise the money that we need to do the things that we've got to do. And things will just move smoothly. So, yeah.
And the bad news now is that decline, that nobody knows that yet because they haven't got that second installment bill, because that's where that would be reflected.
Yeah.
You know?
It's coming.
Well,
It's coming.
Mine better be where it's supposed to be at 0. I got a whole bunch of exemptions.
Right.
Trust and believe, I got a whole bunch. That's the only reason it's at 0. But, I do know that we have less, well, the last collection rate was a little more than 51% for our district. So that's abysmal in and of itself. That the only people that's paying taxes is the ones sitting here at this table. That's my analogy. I'm not saying that we're the only one, but out of 10 people, we're the only 7 paying taxes. So we between not a rock and a hard place. It's a question of whether we go for it or whether we let it fall off and then get nothing and not have any money for capital projects.
I think we need that money for capital
I know
projects.
we need it for capital.
And also, I want us to understand that it's not that all these people are not paying their taxes. Those houses are vacant.
Very much so.
So half
You
the
can
houses
ride
are vacant.
down any street in Harvey.
Half of
Dixmoor is
vacant.
not as bad,
Yeah.
but you can ride down any street in Harvey, and if you look on
Yeah.
both sides of the street from 147 to 154, you can count 20 to 25 vacant and abandoned homes.
Yeah, I worked census, and Harvey was done earlier than anybody, the last census.
Yeah,
before,
they did clean up.
Because they were empty. The
Uh-huh.
houses are empty, and that means income not coming in. And
No
so,
taxes.
you know,
We
we're
have-
hearing all this stuff on the news about politicians blaming each other, but this has been going on
Yeah,
as
a
long
rapid
as these
decline.
houses have been.
And then we don't have a lot of businesses that would bring in corporate taxes. And then the few that we do, they go at the end of, or the beginning of the tax year, whatever, and they ask for exemptions and things like that. And 99% of the time they get it.
Yes, they do.
And, but I can't go get I can't get no more exemptions, but I can't go and ask for my taxes to be reduced or reevaluated, because they gonna tell me no.
Well, I
And
can't
mine's
speak on
not gonna do this, it's gonna go up.
But I do think we do need some cushion, we need some
We
money.
definitely need some
to work
cushion.
with a lot of things that we have discussed.
Uh-huh.
So I think this is an option that we
That's,
look at.
yeah.
And to add to the board's, decision, I want to add that right now we may all understand that the federal government is still in a shutdown.
Yes.
Which means we need to operate our funds as if we're not receiving the federal funding. But right now, we really haven't received federal
Right,
funding.
because we don't know what's gonna
We
happen.
don't know what's gonna happen, on top of the delay in the county bills, which means right now, the bond payment that we do have, we have to use our general operating funds to cover it because we haven't received any collections yet.
Exactly.
And so we need to preserve our fund balance considering the projects that we do have. We already know the estimate for the swimming pool is $2 million. So doing less than $2 million is not gonna put us in the best position to make sure that we have what we need. On top of some of the other structural things that capital projects that you may have been made aware of that we need to address promptly. And so we do really need to preserve the fund balance while at the same time maintaining what we have. And when I say maintaining, I live in Harvey. And so if my taxes stay at $3,000, I'm not gonna feel a burden. But if it drops down to $2,500 and then goes back up, I, as a taxpayer, am gonna be looking. And so that is why we're asking the board to consider maintaining where we are to get us $3 million. And that is just maintaining what we already have
A
received.
geo bond, and I'm also, I'm just asking another question, and help me out here. Equate that to a unsecured loan, because the other one you have to do the referendum.
Yeah, I mean, they're both paid from a property tax,
Yeah. Okay.
whether it's referendum or non-referendum. So it's secured by the property tax collections.
Okay.
And as you mentioned your collection rate, I mean, that is going to be challenging to sell these bonds, but because the payment, if your collection rate is falling down to the level you said, that's challenging then to get an investor to buy the bonds, because what's securing the bonds is that property tax revenue. If the property tax revenue is short, which it has been at times, then you have to pay for the difference from other funds like your EBF dollars, for example.
Okay.
So,
But, and I'm just asking this again, just like I have a credit rating, the district does as well. So because we have been so diligent in the past of making sure that our bonds have been paid on time and all of our notes have been paid and everything. Our credit rating should not be, our Standard & Poor's, is that what it is?
Or Moody's.
Moody's.
One of those two. I can't remember off the top of my head which one.
Moody's. It shouldn't be in such a bad position. It might be a little difficult, but it shouldn't be, I don't believe, I'm praying that it does not be insurmountable of selling that bond.
Yeah, I mean, your rating had gone down, and I believe it did come up not too distant future, or past, sorry. And part of that, the challenge there was your finances. I think it's going back before you guys consolidate some of the schools, and so you can improve the finances, and then EDF happened, so definitely your financial picture has improved over the last years, which should help the credit position, but the tax collection rate is a challenge.
Okay.
So.
All righty then, sports fans and boys and girls.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will go to the next presentation. I won't be before you long. At this point, I'm almost done. I did want to show the board that these dashboards, we consider them dashboards, of our financial status have been put together by Illuminate. So Dr. Robert Grossi has been hired by the Township Treasurer's Office, and a part of the services, he prepares these monthly presentations. And so I wanted to show the board that if you would like to have and see these, I get them every month. They are colorful and they provide snapshots of our revenues to expenditures, and they do it for this year, in this month, and then they do it for the total year against the total year. And just so that way you get to see them. And then if you like them, no problem, I'll make sure that they're in your board packet, but I wanted to give you. Will do. And so I'll just go to the portion where I'll do the report out. It gives you the cash flow, it gives you a lot of.
I would like, I definitely want that, but even if you have to do it individually, to just sit us down to be able, so we can read them and read them with, it'll make sense to us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'll be your first student.
Excellent. Okay, so this is the fund balance report that I typically would go through in a different format. But as you can see, the education fund, we had, the beginning balance was $15,764,000. To date, our revenues are only at $1.8 million. And we have spent $1.843 million. And this funding is primarily coming from state funding because we have not received our tax collections yet, and we have not received any federal funding yet. And so right now, you're going to see revenues low. They're going to be low for the next couple months until we can get those tax bills out and taxes actually collected. Because if they're not collected, we don't receive them.
Absolutely.
And so just this snapshot, it shows that our ending fund balance just for the ed fund will be $15,722. As you see, our operations, it is the original beginning balance was negative. We made an adjustment. And I'll just explain this. The Treasurer's Office was working through a lot of different things to shift into a better position. And so when they were audited, some of those things that they had to do to fix their books affected ours. And so we had to make a shift. So this is before that shift was made. And now it's been corrected. So you'll see that on the next presentation. But it started off negative 2471, I'm sorry. We've only collected $180,000. We've spent $385,000, which puts us at an even more negative, which will be positive the next report. Transportation, 2.4. 69 is all we've received, but we spent 62. So we're at 2.489. Working cash, 2.310. Revenues only at 6,000. We have not spent any of that working cash because you typically won't see expenditures unless the board approves for us to move that. And then that ending fund balance is 2,316. So for our total operating funds, and that's the funds that we're gonna have to pay the bond payment out of because we haven't received those tax bills, the beginning balance was 18 million. We've only collected so far revenues of 2.56 million, and so we've expensed already 2.29. And so we would be ending, should we have ended this year, we'd be ending at 17.851. For our bond and interest, IMRF, capital projects, and tort and immunity, along with our health and life safety, we're looking at the other funds at 6 million for a beginning balance, 84,000 received, 65,000 spent, which would have put us in a position of ending at 6.102. Overall, for all funds, the beginning balance of $24,168 million. Revenues total received, $2,140,000. Expenditures to date, $2.355 million. We would have had, if we ended our school year at this point in time, we would have had $23,953,000 left in our fund balance. This is our fund balance financial report. Are there any questions?
What month is that again?
This is the snapshot for ending August. Ending August. This concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, board, that's it. All right, the next item on the agenda. Action item, I'm gonna speed this up. It'll be the consent agenda, items 1 through 47. Can I get a motion to approve item 1 through 47? Unless there's any board member wish to. Yep.
And second.
Okay, I'll
What
move
she
Ms.
said?
Ratterly second. We are doing consent.
All right. It's been moved by Ms. Rattery and second by
Check it.
Other way around.
other way around. Okay.
Chapman and Ratterly.
Chapman and Rattery. Any discussion? Roll call.
Chapman, aye. Ratterly.
Aye.
Bowman.
Aye.
Henderson.
Yes.
McGee.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye. Next item agenda. Approval personnel. Items 1 through 48. Is there a motion to approve item 1 through 48?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Rattery. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ratterly.
Aye.
Henderson.
Yes.
McGee.
Yes.
Chapman, aye. Bowman.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye. Next item, number 14, unfinished business, approving the arbitration settlement agreement for West Harvey-Dixmoor School District 147 teacher union. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Rattery. Is there a second? Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Ratterly.
Aye.
Ms. McGee.
Yes.
Chapman, aye. Smith.
Aye.
Henderson.
Yes.
Bowman.
Aye.
New business, approve the elevator change order for Lanera and Reed Architect Construction Management, well, items 1 through 2. Can I get a motion to approve item 1 through 2?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Rattery,
Second.
second by Ms. Chapman. In the discussion.
I'm going with, 1. I ain't doing 2.
Okay, so you want to pull that one separate. All right, so let's do the
Let me redo the motion.
Can I get a motion to approve items 1? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Rattery
Chapman.
and second by Ms. Chapman. Any discussion? Roll call.
Ratterly.
Aye.
Chapman, aye.
Yes.
Henderson.
Yes.
McGee.
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Smith.
Aye. The next item, approve the facility rental request for Small Fry Harvey Wildcat, October 27, 2025, June through June the 4th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Rattery. Is there a second? No second. Okay. The motion failed for no second. Okay, so we move on. All right, the next item, number 16, conference requests. Items 1 through 14. Can I get a motion to approve item 1 through 14? Moved by Mr. Henderson.
Second.
Second by Ms. Rattery. Any discussion? Roll call.
Henderson?
Yes.
Rattery?
Aye.
Chapman, aye. Bowman?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
Smith?
Aye. FYI, Madam Secretary,
There were none.
for your request.
Oh, yes, it is. Not FYI, I should have did this in earlier. I mentioned it to the board earlier. When you approach 147th Street and you're trying to make a right turn off of Roby, there was this big old tree that had grew up into the fence. The safety committee, headed by Ms. Lily Lambert, the secretary and safety person over at Rosa Parks, took it upon herself and a few other people. She got the Village of Dixmoor involved. She got our maintenance department, our buildings and ground department and stuff. That tree is now down. So when the parents are making that right in, it's down a lot. It may not be all the way down, but you can see all the way to Winchester so that you can make that right-hand turn and our parents and our children don't have to try to get out into the street to see if they can cross or either turn. So I would like to commend that group of people for doing what they could in their own time and their own resources to get that, make a little safety adjustment for the West Harvey-Dixmoor 147 family.
Very good.
For your request, Madam Secretary.
We have 5 FOIA requests, and they have been turned over to the superintendent to send them over to the responsible FOIA representative for the district. And I'm sure that we will have, that they will be responded to in the timely manner within the scope of the FOIA law or whatever it's called.
Okay, that's it. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn? I don't know who said it, but okay.
Everybody.
Ain't gonna be anybody.
Chapman and McGee.
All right, do it that way. Roll
Chapman,
call.
aye. McGee?
Yes.
Roll call.
Rattery?
Aye.
Bowman?
Aye.
Smith?
All
Henderson? All righty.
right, meet adjourned.
9:51.
Have a nice day, everybody. Have a nice evening.